Have you ever wondered why medieval log cabins could stay warm in 40 degrees F while modern homes struggle in similar conditions? Let us uncover the secrets behind this forgotten method of survival. In the frigid depths of winter, when temperatures plummet to 40 degrees F, modern homes often struggle to stay warm despite the latest heating technologies. However, medieval log cabins, built centuries ago, were able to retain heat and provide comfort even in such extreme cold. This phenomenon raises an intriguing question. Why were these ancient homes so much more effective at staying warm? The answer lies in a combination of construction methods, natural materials, and design features that modern homes often overlook. The medieval log cabin was not just a shelter. It was a product of generations of experience and adaptation to the harshest climates. These cabins were built with thick, sturdy logs that had natural insulating properties, unlike the modern materials we use today. The logs used in medieval cabins acted as both walls and insulators. The interlocking nature of the logs provided a tight seal, reducing drafts and keeping the cold from creeping inside. This method was far more efficient at trapping heat compared to modern construction, where walls often have gaps or weak insulation. Another critical factor was the small size of these cabins. The compact nature of medieval log cabins meant that there was less space to heat. Unlike the sprawling, open-plan homes common today, medieval cabins were designed to be cozy, with every inch serving a purpose. The smaller the space, the less energy it takes to warm it. The heat from the hearth or fire would circulate throughout the cabin, and because the space was so small, it would be retained much more effectively. The design also meant that the warmth from a fire would quickly spread throughout the cabin, creating a consistent and comfortable temperature. The hearth, which was often the centerpiece of the cabin, also played a significant role in ensuring warmth. In medieval times, a hearth wasn't just a place to cook food. It was the source of heat for the entire home. A fire would be centrally located, with a chimney or flue system designed to carry smoke outside. The warmth radiated outward, and the stone or brick surrounding the hearth would act as a heat sink, absorbing the heat and releasing it slowly throughout the cabin. This constant heat source was far more efficient than the electric or gas-powered heating systems we rely on today, which often struggle to heat large, drafty spaces. Medieval people also used practical techniques to seal their homes from the cold. They would often fill the cracks between the logs with materials like clay, moss, or animal hair, creating a barrier that further prevented heat loss. This natural insulation was highly effective and, when combined with the thick logs and small space, created an environment where warmth could be maintained despite the bitter cold outside. Today, modern homes are designed with many conveniences, but they are often less efficient when it comes to retaining heat. Insulation has improved, but many modern homes still suffer from gaps around windows, doors, and walls that allow cold air to seep in. Additionally, the larger, open floor plans common in modern homes result in vast amounts of space that are difficult to heat efficiently. Despite all the advancements in technology, many of these homes still fail to keep the cold out as effectively as the humble log cabins of medieval times. The mystery of how medieval log cabins could stay warm in 40 degrees F conditions lies in the design, materials, and techniques that allowed these homes to trap and retain heat in a way modern homes often cannot. These cabins were a testament to the ingenuity and resourcefulness of our ancestors, using simple yet highly effective methods to create warmth in the harshest of climates. Medieval log cabins were built using materials that were abundant in the natural environment. And one of the most crucial components of these cabins was the wood itself. The logs used in medieval cabins were thick, solid, and had inherent insulating properties that allowed them to trap heat much more effectively than modern construction materials. Unlike the materials we use today, such as drywall or plaster, which often need additional layers of insulation to keep the cold out, the logs in medieval cabins were naturally dense and dense enough to resist heat loss. One of the key features of log construction was the way the logs were stacked. The logs would be interlocked at the corners, forming a tight seal that minimized the chances of cold air seeping through. In many cases, these cabins used a technique called notching, where the logs were carved to fit perfectly with one another. This method made it harder for wind and moisture to penetrate the structure, ensuring that the heat generated inside stayed trapped. In fact, the natural insulating ability of these thick logs would be so effective that the cabin could remain warmer on the inside than the outside, even during extreme weather conditions. In addition to their natural insulating properties, the thickness of the logs played a significant role in the cabin's ability to maintain warmth. The logs used in medieval cabins were often many inches thick, providing a barrier to the cold that modern materials simply can't replicate. The thicker the material, the better it is at regulating the internal temperature by resisting the flow of heat. This thick log construction acted as a natural thermal mass, absorbing heat from the interior and gradually releasing it over time, ensuring a steady and consistent temperature. The construction of the roof was equally important in ensuring warmth inside the cabin. Medieval roofs were often made with wooden beams covered by thatch or wooden shingles. This type of roofing material worked in tandem with the walls to trap heat inside. Because these roofs were typically steeply pitched, snow and rain would slide off easily, leaving less moisture to seep into the cabin. The lack of moisture buildup also helped maintain the structural integrity of the roof, ensuring that the heat generated within the cabin could remain trapped. What made the log cabin even more effective at retaining heat was the absence of unnecessary spaces between the logs. While modern homes often feature air gaps and spaces between materials that allow for the movement of air, the close-fitting logs in medieval cabins formed a continuous barrier. This dense construction helped prevent drafts and air leaks, which is one of the main reasons why modern homes struggle to retain heat. Today's homes, even those with insulation, still suffer from small gaps around windows and doors that allow the cold to penetrate the interior. The lack of proper sealing can cause heated air to escape, leaving the interior colder than intended. The fact that medieval log cabins were designed with such a natural and airtight construction was a result of centuries of trial and error. These cabins were not just built to withstand the cold. They were built to be sustainable in a time when people had few resources available. The logs provided a strong and reliable form of insulation that, when combined with the small size of the cabin and the centralized hearth, created a perfect environment for warmth. The combination of thick, tightly interlocked logs, small, compact designs, and a focus on natural insulating materials allowed medieval log cabins to keep the inside of the home warm. Even in the harshest of winters, the design of medieval log cabins was rooted in practicality. And one of the key features that contributed to their ability to stay warm in extreme cold was the small, compact nature of the cabin. Unlike modern homes, which are often sprawling with open floor plans and large, airy spaces, medieval cabins were deliberately kept small to maximize efficiency. The smaller the space, the less energy it takes to warm, and this principle worked in favor of medieval dwellings, especially when dealing with freezing temperatures like 40 degrees F. Medieval log cabins were often designed to accommodate families in just 1 or 2 rooms, making them much more efficient at retaining heat. The cabin's small size meant that there was less air to warm, which is a critical factor when dealing with extremely cold weather. In modern homes, with their open concept layouts and expansive spaces, heating systems must work harder to keep the temperature comfortable. Even with modern insulation and advanced heating systems, these larger spaces are harder to regulate, and heat can easily escape through windows, doors, and other gaps. In contrast, medieval cabins were built with a much more efficient use of space, where every inch of the cabin was used for warmth or functional purposes. This small space not only made it easier to retain heat, but it also allowed for the warmth to circulate more effectively. The centrally located hearth or fire pit was the focal point of the cabin, and because the cabin was small, the heat from the fire would naturally radiate throughout the room, keeping the entire cabin warm. In many cases, the fire would be the only source of warmth, and the compact nature of the cabin ensured that the heat would be distributed evenly across the room. The fire would also warm the walls and the logs themselves, which, due to their thermal mass, would retain heat and gradually release it into the space, ensuring a consistent temperature throughout the day and night. Furthermore, The design of medieval log cabins often took advantage of the natural heat distribution properties of the materials. The thick, interlocking logs acted as thermal mass, absorbing heat from the fire and slowly releasing it over time. This was particularly beneficial during the night, when temperatures would drop significantly. While modern homes rely on heating systems that operate on cycles, medieval cabins had a more passive approach to heating, using the heat stored in the logs to maintain a steady temperature, even after the fire had burned down. Another aspect of the small size of medieval cabins was the limited number of windows and doors, which helped to minimize heat loss. In modern homes, large windows and expansive glass doors are popular features, but they often allow a significant amount of heat to escape, especially in the winter. Medieval cabins, on the other hand, had few windows, and those that existed were often small and tightly sealed. This design kept the interior warm and insulated from the biting winds and cold temperatures outside. The small, tightly sealed spaces meant that the heat generated by the fire would stay inside, and the cold air had little room to infiltrate. In essence, the small size of medieval log cabins was not just a matter of space efficiency, but also a strategic decision to optimize heat retention. Every element of the cabin's design, from the tightly packed logs to the centralized hearth, worked in harmony to ensure that the cabin stayed warm, even in the most extreme cold. In today's world, where larger homes are often prioritized for comfort, the design of the medieval log cabin serves as a reminder of how thoughtful, efficient use of space can lead to more sustainable and effective living in even the harshest conditions. The hearth in medieval log cabins was much more than just a source of warmth. It was the lifeblood of the home, providing heat, light, and a space for cooking. Positioned at the center of the cabin, the hearth was strategically placed to maximize its effectiveness in warming the entire dwelling. In contrast to modern heating systems that rely on electricity or gas, the hearth in medieval times functioned as a multi-purpose tool, crucial for survival in extreme cold, such as the 40 degrees F temperatures medieval cabins often faced. The warmth it provided was vital to the cabin's ability to stay comfortable during the harshest winters. One of the key factors that made the hearth so effective was its location. Positioned centrally in the cabin, the hearth acted as a focal point, radiating heat across the entire space. Unlike modern homes, where heating systems are distributed through vents or radiators that can sometimes struggle to heat large areas, the hearth ensured that the warmth was concentrated in the most essential part of the home. The heat from the fire would spread outward, filling the small space, and because of the cabin's compact size, the entire area would quickly warm up. The location of the hearth also ensured that it was within easy reach, allowing those inside to gather around it for warmth and comfort. The materials surrounding the hearth played an important role in distributing heat as well. In many medieval cabins, the hearth was made of stone or brick, both of which are excellent heat conductors. These materials would absorb heat from the fire and slowly release it over time, ensuring that the cabin stayed warm long after the fire had burned down. This process, known as thermal mass, helped maintain a steady temperature within the cabin, reducing the need for constant restoking of the fire. At night, when the temperature would typically drop, the heat stored in the hearth and surrounding materials would continue to radiate, ensuring that the cabin remained at a livable temperature even during the coldest hours. Beyond heating, the hearth was also used for cooking, which added to its importance in daily life. In medieval times, cooking over an open fire was the primary method of preparing food. The hearth provided a safe and efficient place for cooking meals, and the heat from the fire could be used for both cooking and warming food. The fire was often used to boil, roast, or bake, making it an essential part of not only the heating system but the cabin's overall function. This dual purpose meant that the hearth was used continuously throughout the day, further helping to maintain warmth and creating a central gathering place for the family. The hearth also had a psychological and social significance. In medieval times, the hearth was where the family would gather for warmth and conversation. The comfort and security that came from sitting around a fire were essential for survival during the long, dark winters. The communal aspect of the hearth, where everyone would come together to share stories, eat, and stay warm, helped foster a sense of unity and survival in the harshest conditions. The design of the hearth itself was also important in ensuring its efficiency. It was often built with a chimney or flue that allowed the smoke to escape, preventing the cabin from becoming filled with dangerous fumes. This design not only kept the air inside breathable, but also helped the fire burn more efficiently, ensuring that heat was being maximized. The chimney ensured that the warmth would stay inside the cabin while the smoke was directed outside, creating an optimal environment for both heating and cooking. In conclusion, the hearth in medieval log cabins was the cornerstone of warmth, comfort, and functionality. It was the central feature of the cabin, providing heat, light, and a space for cooking. Its design, materials, and placement made it incredibly effective in retaining warmth even in extreme cold. The hearth's multifaceted role in the cabin ensured that medieval homes could stay warm during the harshest winters, providing a clear example of how simple yet effective solutions can make a home more livable in the toughest of conditions. Modern homes, despite all the advancements in insulation, heating systems, and building technologies, often struggle to retain warmth during extreme cold, especially in temperatures as low as 40 degrees F. While medieval log cabins were highly efficient at staying warm, modern homes face several challenges that prevent them from achieving the same level of warmth, even with the most sophisticated systems. One of the primary reasons for this difference lies in the design and construction materials used in modern homes, which, although more advanced in many ways, are often less effective at maintaining a consistent internal temperature. One of the major shortcomings of modern homes when it comes to heat retention is the use of large, open floor plans. Today's homes are often designed with expansive spaces, high ceilings, and open layouts that look visually appealing but are less efficient when it comes to heating. In contrast, medieval cabins were small, compact, and designed with efficiency in mind. The smaller the space, the easier it is to heat and retain warmth. With modern homes, the larger spaces require more energy to heat, and the heat produced by heating systems often struggles to distribute evenly throughout the entire home. Large windows, high ceilings, and expansive hallways can cause heat to rise or escape through poorly insulated walls, leaving certain areas of the home colder than others. Another factor contributing to the failure of modern homes to retain heat effectively is the use of materials that don't offer the same natural insulation properties as the thick logs used in medieval cabins. Modern homes are often built with materials like drywall, fiberglass, and concrete, which require additional layers of insulation to provide adequate thermal protection. While these materials are functional and inexpensive, they don't offer the same natural insulating qualities as solid wood logs. Medieval log cabins, with their thick, tightly interlocked logs, were able to trap heat within their walls naturally, without the need for additional insulation. The thick logs not only provided structural integrity, but also acted as a barrier to the cold, with the wood itself serving as a natural insulator. Drafts and gaps in modern construction also contribute to the inability of modern homes to retain heat. While insulation has improved over the years, many homes still suffer from small gaps around windows, doors, and other fixtures, through which cold air can seep in. The lack of airtight sealing in modern homes means that heat is constantly leaking out, making it much harder to maintain a warm indoor environment. In medieval cabins, the logs were not only thick but tightly interlocked, and any gaps between them were often sealed with natural materials like clay, moss, or animal hair, ensuring that there were no drafts. This airtight construction helped retain the warmth inside, making the cabin far more efficient than many modern homes. Additionally, modern homes often rely on centralized heating systems such as forced air or electric heaters to warm the entire house. While these systems can be effective, they often struggle in larger homes with multiple rooms and open spaces. These systems also tend to dry out the air and require frequent maintenance. The centralized heating may not be able to keep every part of the house warm consistently, especially in extreme cold. Medieval cabins, on the other hand, were heated by a single hearth or fire, located at the center of the cabin, ensuring that warmth radiated out in all directions. This system was not only more effective but also simpler and more reliable, as the fire provided a constant and concentrated source of heat that could easily warm the small, confined space. Modern homes are also filled with energy-efficient appliances and features, such as double-paned windows, energy-efficient insulation, and advanced heating technologies. But these advancements often come at the expense of the home's natural warmth. For instance, double-pane windows, while excellent for preventing heat loss, also block sunlight, which in medieval cabins would have naturally warmed the space during the day. The larger windows in modern homes, although they allow for more light and a better view, also allow more heat to escape and are often a major source of heat loss in cold weather. Finally, the modern obsession with aesthetics and comfort sometimes trumps the need for energy efficiency. Modern homes often feature luxurious open spaces, expansive windows, and high ceilings, which, while visually appealing, make it harder to retain warmth. The aesthetic appeal of a modern home is often prioritized over the practical need to minimize heat loss, which leaves many homes ill-equipped to handle extreme temperatures. In conclusion, while modern homes have come a long way in terms of technology and comfort, they still face significant challenges when it comes to retaining heat in extreme cold. Larger floor plans, the use of materials that don't naturally insulate, drafts, and reliance on centralized heating systems all contribute to this problem. Medieval log cabins, with their smaller, more compact designs, thick insulating logs, and efficient heating systems like the central hearth, were far more effective at maintaining warmth during cold winters. Today, we can learn from these ancient construction methods by focusing on smaller, more efficient designs, better natural materials, and airtight construction to improve our home's ability to retain heat. Want to learn more about how our ancestors survived harsh conditions and how we can bring back those timeless techniques? Hit subscribe and join the journey into history's warmth.